Good morning, everyone. Hi, I'm Kelly, and I'm back with another activity for the week. So, this week, we are celebrating another special day in society and in church life. It feels like there's always something to celebrate, which is great. Um, Helps me come up with ideas. So this weekend, this Sunday, is in broader society called Mother's Day. And then within the church, we celebrate it a little bit differently. We call it Christian Family Sunday, sort of acknowledging that families look like lots of different things these days, and that we are all as Christian people, siblings and family in our faith, which is really awesome. And so it seems like a good opportunity to do some family activity together or do something that commemorates our family. So I'm going to do craft. Um, and this one is like a little bit more of a challenging execution craft that it requires, or at very least, a little bit more parent intervention than some of the other crafts that I've demonstrated to date. So it is, excuse me, a picture frame because I thought this is like such a strange and weird time, and it's challenging for a lot of people being on lockdown and trying to balance kids and home education and working and maybe not working and all of the just different things and isolation and all the things that go with that. And so there can be a lot of sort of negative feeling about this time that we're in. But I think in the future, when we look back, we're going to say, like, what a strange and crazy time that was. And it'll be a little period of our life that we want to remember. So I think I really like the idea for Christian Family Sunday or Mother's Day, the idea of making a picture frame and then you can put a picture in of your family from during this like lockdown period. So I know some people are out there getting like portraits, so pictures of their family taken on their front porch. We sort of did our own informal one just with a cell phone and a timer. And so maybe that's what I'll put in my little frame that I'm making. So this is more about the idea than the execution. I'm not sure I've executed it beautifully. Surprise, I'm not actually that crafty, but I'm trying my best. And so I hope you take some nuggets from it and then just like make it your own. So what I started with is the idea of a 4x6 picture, just like a regular photograph. And then I measured around it. So was trying to think of different materials to use as the base for the picture frame. And originally I was thinking like Amazon box kind of cardboard, and then cutting with an X-Acto knife. But I was really bad at that. That was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. So I thought maybe the box board from like a cereal box or a frozen pizza box, which is what I ended up using, is good enough. And I don't know about you, but we have lots of that around right now. So I was able to take my frozen pizza box and I already have this one measured out. So if I bring it up really close, you can see I drew a line. So I decided what I wanted to do was have a 4x6 picture, and then I measured out a 2-inch boundary on either side. So that made my full frame 10 inches across and 8 inches down. So 4x6 plus 4 on each side. So I found it was a lot easier to cut if I was getting my frame out of the corner rather than trying to put it in the center, because then you know you have straight sides on two sides. But then the key is when you're measuring, you need to leave double the space for your frame, right? You can't just measure your photo and then what you want for a frame because you only have frame on two sides. You have to double it. So I did use a ruler and did the math and measured. And so then I measured into the center to put in a box of where the picture will go. Now, I did, if I wanted a 2-inch frame, I made it like 2 1/4 on each side because I want the picture to be able to fit inside. So when I cut this out, I want it to not fall through I want to have a little bit of space on the back so I can tape it. So you can see this is one that I was a little further along, and I just taped my picture in. And even that one, I didn't leave quite enough space, and it's falling through a little bit. So definitely leave like a 1/4 inch around. So then you just have to go with your scissors, and it's hard to use safety scissors to do this. You at least need to start with something pokey to get in there and cut out your picture box. So once you've cut out your picture box, and you know your picture's going to fit in it, the next thing is to decorate your frame. So if you just want to color it with markers or paint it, that's great. I did make my pencil markings on the plain side so it was easier to see them, but that's going to be the front of your frame. So you don't want to make too many markings, or at very least you want to use pencil, so you can erase them again afterwards. So I decided to try to go with like a forest nature materials theme in making my my frame. And so my neighbor actually just trimmed a big maple, not just trimmed, this spring he trimmed a big maple tree that kind of borders our 2 yards and has all the debris still sitting in a pile. And so I was able to take some small twigs from that pile, and I want to make like a twig frame. So I got out the hot glue gun. So that's also another piece of equipment that is a little, I hope it's something that you have at home. This one just came from the dollar store. It's nothing fancy. And it's a low temp glue gun, but even still, you would want someone with a little bit more careful fingers using that than a super young child. So I broke all my sticks and I placed them on beforehand so I knew that I had what I wanted and laid it all out. And so then I glued on these ones beforehand so I could show them to you. And then now I have 2 piles that are ready to be glued on. And my glue gun is hot, so I'm ready to start gluing. So just using a couple dots of glue in each spot, and this wood, because it was just cut this year, is still quite green. So it's quite, and because they're skinny little sticks, they're quite pliable. So I'm able to kind of move them and bend them as I want. But depending what kind of nature treasures you use, I don't know if if pine cones are quite as pliable. Maybe little spruce cones or cedar cones would be. Or you don't even have to go with nature treasures at all. I was trying to think about other themes, like maybe think about a theme for your frame of what kind of your family has enjoyed doing together in lockdown. So like maybe that's board game pieces. If you have like some old broken games that don't have all their pieces anymore, and you could glue some of those on. Or if you've been really into baking, you could do something with like muffin or cupcake liners and like make them kind of like a flower, and some other bits and things from the kitchen might be kind of fun. Some old teaspoons, who knows? But this is an opportunity to kind of get the wheels turning and get creative a little bit. So one thing I did to demonstrate, which I don't recommend that you do, is I did tape my picture in right from the get-go. So right now I'm using the hot glue gun and I'm getting those like glue stringies and they're all sticking to my picture. So I would wait, if I were you, until you're all done gluing and you're all dry before you tape your picture in. Make sure it fits, but then tape it in later. So I'm gonna have sticks framing either side, and then I have some little fake flowers here that I think I'm gonna add just for a little embellishment. I'm trying to think of other themes. I had a whole bunch of themes in my brain that you could go with. Maybe something that your family's been really into watching together on Netflix or listening to. I don't know. The world is your oyster, but the idea is just to think about this time where you've been able to be together with your family or maybe if you're doing this for your mom as a Mother's Day gift, then you think about something that talent of your mom's or something you really like about your mom. But the idea is that like personal touch and that you did it yourself. So I think when I'm done, I'm not gonna do sticks all the way out to the top. That 2 inches was more frame than I really needed. So I'm gonna go back with my scissors afterwards and trim my frame down. But I'm glad that I had the space to work with, and it's easier to get rid of it at the end than it is to add more space if you didn't have it. So I'm glad I did that. So I finished up one side here. So I don't know if we're going to get a finished product on the video today because it would be too long and I don't work fast enough, especially while I'm talking for that. So here's kind of the idea of what we're doing. Maybe I'll post the completed image in the comments. But here's my frame, and I'll trim the excess, and a great little spot to put a family photo, have maybe a gift for someone special in your household Sunday morning, or just something fun to do together to celebrate being a family and what being a family has meant in this crazy COVID-19 lockdown time. So cool, I hope that inspired some ideas for you for this weekend, and that you had fun having this activity together. I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye.